So what happened on SmackDown? It was absolute shit. Like it was pure shit. Like nothing but absolute waste of televised garbage that didn't even have to exist in the universe. I'm not doing this to be bitter about how the circumstances, how pro wrestling in the world is. I'm doing this as a televised standpoint, plus this is technically my job, or my volunteer, or technically my hobby. SmackDown sucked. It purely sucked. In a build-up standpoint, in a TV show standpoint, even in a 2-hour runtime, they still try to sneak in a bit of a recap, and it was just dumb. It just reminded me of the good old days when it was just storytelling. We had Bayley coming around with Sasha Banks, coming around gloating and complaining about Paige's match stipulation for the up and coming WrestleMania, where she has to defend her championship in a 5-pack elimination match for the SmackDown Women's title. And then they did the same thing they do for almost every other multi-women match to forget that they're in the roster. And Tamina came back and come around. First of all, she said actions speak louder than words, and then she immediately beat the hell out of Naomi. That's hair looks like the after what Oppenheimer made up in his head before he died via erection. And then fucking Dana, I don't know where the hell Dana Brooke was. I don't think she was even in there. There was of course Lacey Evans bringing up gloating that Bayley was going to be in a disadvantage, and I obviously did not care because this was so awkward. Paige has been authority figure because she was a SmackDown GM for a while back on 2018, and then they canceled the factor of authority figures actually playing a factor in storylines and being a reasonable part of an authority figure on SmackDown and Raw because McMahon's are retarded and too inconsistent and scared. If anything flops, they think they lose money. It's so dumb because it's not actual GM's decision what happens in the show. Retards, and they can and it was so dumb and awkward. It just ended up with everybody fighting. Obviously the main event was obviously the number one contenders match for the New Day and the Usos to see who was going to face off against the Miz and Morrison for the tag team titles. I don't know why they don't call them the Dirt Sheet. That used to be their old name back then. So, just saying. I don't care what the fuck you call them. Okay, next up was obviously Otis confronting Dolph Ziggler from the assault even. This is horrific. You had a fat man hugging another fat man over a dude having a girlfriend, even though the girl's out of his league. Ziggler looks like a southern rapist that escaped to the West Coast, and it just feels awkward because he wears bandanas every day and he sweats out his ass and shit. It's weird. Ziggler just looks like the wrong person to be in a hotel. He looks like the wrong person to be anywhere without any friends with him. And Otis just looks like my youngest brother. If anybody knows me personally, ever, they'll know who my youngest brother looks like. It's just dumb. It just comes up with Tucker holding back with a bunch of security guards, and it looks like he challenged him at WrestleMania. Couldn't have been a tag team match because Robert Roode wouldn't appear for the past couple weeks. Because he actually cares about his fucking health. And Dan Corbin, after All Eyes came, presented for the little opera side. He comes around saying that he's going to perform a little something for the WWE Universe until immediately Baron Corbin would come attack him after Gronkowski's appearance last week on SmackDown. It just came up so cringe, so dumb for this stupid thing. I at least expected some. I know I expected Corbin to attack him, but it felt so predictable. Then he fell out what looks to be a 10-foot ledge. He needed literal paramedics. We didn't know how hard he fell. We obviously know a planted thing like that made it look super staged, and it was so corny. It just ended up with Elias falling down from the damn thing after a fight. And then Baron Corbin comes around using the little scepter as a fucking Triple H sledgehammer, where he literally cushions his own strike using his hand to palm out the silver end of the stick. It's just a fucking stick. I don't even know why Corbin is doing these petty feuds when he's been King of the Ring for how long, and there hasn't been a compelling storyline. He's been in the feud for how long with Roman Reigns, and it hasn't elevated his career. That he goes back to mid quarters like Corbin. I mean Elias, and this was off his one-off feud with Chad Gable, or Shorty fucking Make a Wish G, looking like an overgrown child. I don't know what was he planning to accomplish still. It looks like after this pandemic's done, we're back to regular scheduled television. They're going to try to push something because somehow Chad Gable can only tag with black people as instructed. We have to erase Robert Roode in that list. At least these were interesting segments. I wanted Otis to get the puss. Asuka faced off against Alexa Bliss, and it ended via oh my god, I think it ended via DQ or ring pinfall off Alexa Bliss because Nikki Cross was coming around and just screaming her entire fucking time when she was on the mic, while Michael Cole being like, "Fucking social distancing, social distancing, don't touch me, bitch, don't touch me, don't touch me." I don't know what was the thing, but always putting there's like two guest commentators because Michael Cole's lonely as fuck. Corey Graves was there, Triple H was there for one night when they first started their first quarantine Friday Night SmackDown, and it felt so awkward. But Michael Cole seemed to be fine. I actually heard some wrestling moves Michael Cole was actually saying. Come into a couple sleeper holes. Nikki Cross was just awkwardly screaming while Asuka was taking advantage. Kairi Sane wasn't there for the past 3 weeks, so it was kind of awkward. But it's official. After Asuka got pinned by Alexa Bliss, up some kind of move. It wasn't even the Twisted Bliss. It was just some kind of. It was just some kind of neck breaker, and it just felt so weird because it's usually the Twisted Bliss that gets the win. But there it is. The match was forgettable. Nikki Cross was screaming the entire time like a fucking retard. And I don't even know why, other than Nikki Cross has a big ass because she always wears sweatpants. And Alexa Bliss was just there, like, I did all the hard work. Where the fuck were you screening ringside if we won tag team title shots? It felt so awkward. Asuka just felt so out of place these last couple weeks because she came around commentating in a match involving Andrade when he faced off against Rey Mysterio, and I had no reason why she's there. I don't think she had a reason why she was there, other than just spew out Japanese, and it felt so retarded. We had like what else? It was just so dumb. There's been such shitty build up that we had Mandy Rose talk to Dolph Ziggler about I am chocolate liver. This pussy isn't free. It's $20 each. Okay, I'm joking. That's fucking dumb. It's so dumb. It's so dumb because past couple weeks, we felt like Mandy Rose was into Dolph Ziggler until Dolph Ziggler came to the dinner unprecedented, and then they just started hitting it off after it literally took time for Otis and Mandy. And I felt like, oh, like Mandy wouldn't be interested in them after Sonya Deville said, well, Dolph Ziggler is more of a Mandy Rose type guy, and that seemed to like tick Mandy. So what the fuck was gonna happen then? Whatever's gonna happen, I'm just gonna say it's not as better as Trish Stratus, Christian, and Chris Jericho back at WrestleMania 20, but at least this has a sort of build, and you can get behind Otis. I can't get behind Ziggler because he's been such a mid card purgatory. It hurts. And how many times they try to push him to be a major guy on the brand split, it's just been super retarded. I don't even know why Ziggler been doing this. He came from being associated with Corbin to being tagging with Rude to now dating Mandy Rose, and somehow he just ends up with an attractive woman. And this is the same guy who fucked Amy Schumer. Like, I don't know what drives this guy at all. He hasn't looked good since 2010. Mandy's like 25. This dude's like in his 40s, isn't he? So awkward. Next up, we had the Firefly Funhouse moment involving uh, Bray Wyatt saying, I invite you into a Firefly match. because he didn't want a regular match. He came around drinking and just ripping off a little rabbit's head. It felt so fucking weird and awkward because nobody's there to react. So it just felt weird to me. It was an okay segment. I know they're just doing the they're trying to rip off Final Deletion again. They're gonna do this in some type of secluded area or find some kind of area that has a house inside of the studio or something and let them fight there so it can be more cinematic. I don't I don't know, man. This is so hard to fucking notice. They only had 1, 2 matches on tonight. On that night, it was it felt like there was no rhyme or reason for this episode to exist other than to just build up one match. There was also Drew Gulak against Shinsuke Nakamura, but it ended off a clutch little suplex into a bridge for the win when Sami Zayn came around just shouting some inspiration to a man that speaks strictly Japanese. So that was awkward. Good tackle. I think there was a cross armbar through the ropes. Nakamura, Daniel Bryan was just doing nothing after a failed, I think it was a failed baseball drop kick. It just felt like, oh my god. It was such an awkward and predictable finish, but it felt so weird to know that these guys started feuding and Drew Gulak tried to make himself at least an established heelish mid carder or a jobber. Thanks, he literally came up to the main roster jobber. He came being the fucking lackey of Enzo Amore, and now he's coming around helping Daniel Bryan earn title shots for the Intercontinental title. And I don't know where the hell Braun Strowman's been in all of this, except maybe a teaser to face off against Goldberg, even though I've been hearing some backlash involving him over the entire road to WrestleMania. And I don't know if this was after he lost the Intercontinental title back at the Chamber show, but either way, at least it's building something. I don't care. I just care about surviving this shit. I have no interest in WrestleMania. I do. There's like most of these matches I'm not even interested to even last 2 days. So whatever you want. This show got a 3 out of 10. It's mediocre. It had no substance. The promos were corny. They made promos and conversations involving the Universal title match that's not even going to exist anymore. Roman Reigns pulled out of WrestleMania 36. So it's either going to be Braun or some other guy that's going to pull up, and it's probably going to be somebody retarded that's going to win the title. It doesn't matter anyway because the Universal title hasn't built up any prestige anywhere. It hasn't. And it's been since 2016. Brock Lesnar held it for 2 fucking years and did nothing to elevate it. Kevin Owens held it for several months, did nothing with it. Roman Reigns held it twice, and they lasted for under a fucking month. Who else? Finn Balor got injured off a shoulder injury. These guys wasting tooth and nail for a belt. That doesn't mean nothing. Why the fuck would you call a belt universal? There's more prestige in the fucking TNT championship that's going to actually be fought in a fucking tournament. The first time the Universal title was actually going to be on the line, it was in 2 fatal 4-way matches. And then they had to go off against each other to be the number 1 contenders after fighting in 2 fatal 4-way matches to face off against Seth Rollins, a guy that didn't even do shit, but he didn't get pinned when he lost the WWE Championship, even though he did back when Ambrose cashed in on him. So I don't know why he didn't earn it. It was so dumb. It was so dumb. I was the least excited because I was in the Finn Balor bandwagon back then, and now Finn Balor became such a glorified jobber and such a joke in the main roster. He literally went back to NXT, and people think that's a pseudo upgrade. He had one alright match with Gargano, and nobody cares about Finn Balor now. Jesus Christ. Oh man. That's it coming from the Smackdown review. I wish I had more to give, but that's practically it. I'm going to upload a different video involving Raw. Probably gonna put rant in it because it's gonna be more in depth. Plus, Raw is longer, so I have more breathing room. I'm obviously not in the mood. A lot of tough stuff happened to me, especially how my school's gonna go. So either way, you take it or leave it, man. I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it, but This review's still gonna go to you, the fans that deserve it. It's gonna happen right now. Shane, get the gun away from me.